Well, hello again and welcome to Alice Springs in Australia. And if there seems to be a smile in my voice, that's because you're looking at, and I'm looking at, and we're flying the Mighty Dash. I have finally gotten it to run nicely in prepared 3.3, and we're going to take quite a long journey because I want to go over some Orbx territory, and I want to go from one Orbx airport to another because they're kind of pretty. Although this one I suspect is a fairly early one because the ground textures are not strikingly good. But excuse me as I adjust my microphone here a little bit. However, we're going to be going into Brisbane. It is going to be a very long flight, and I will not subject you to all of it. We'll take off, we'll get established, cut the video, and we'll pick it up as we come into Brisbane, where the weather promises to be quite sporty. It's been so long since we've flown a leg on our around the world flight, and I just tuned in to see fellow YouTuber The Flying Dad, who happens to be Australian. I don't know if he's from Brisbane, but he has flown in there often enough that maybe he is. But in any case, he'll let me know. But he flew just a really nice little 1-minute video of a crosswind landing in a beach bonanza, and he did it with such style and savoir-faire that I really was shamed into getting back into a plane I know and I love, and to continue on through Australia. Now, it has been, let's just get buttoned up here, it has been so long since I've flown this plane that I'm going to do something that I rarely do, and that is I'm going to use a checklist here. So let me just sort of do our flight deck safety checks, or check that we've done them. Documentation is on board. Batteries are on and checked. Main bus tie is tied. Yes. Battery temps are within limits and all good. That's cool. Bus voltages checked. Safety equipment checked. Landing gear lights and pins. Let's give that a look-see. Checked. We count 3. Good. Engine intake door is green. Yes. Circuit breakers in. Yes, they are. Alright. Alt gear door. Inhibit switch is normal. I'm not even sure where that is because I've never used alternative gear deployment. But let's see, where is it? If I had to guess, I'd say it's near the gear. Or, you know what? Is it up here? Not with fire. Not here. No, it's nothing I've ever used. So, alright. That's all well and good. We've already checked our smoke detectors. Bleeds 1 and 2 should be off. APU bleeds as required. We're not running the APU yet, so APU bleed is off. Recirc fan is on. Pressurization should be set and checked. Our landing altitude is going to be close to sea level, and that is all good. Temperatures are all a little chilly, but warm them up a little bit. Alright, emergency lights are armed, yes. Fuel quantity checked. We're running maximum fuel. Nose wheel steering off. It is now. FMS is set. Takeoff and departure briefing are completed, but let's just do it for my sake and yours again. We're going to be taking off on runway 12 here at Alice Springs, and it's about a 7,200 foot strip. We are pretty darn heavy, and I think what I'm going to do is, instead of do a reduced power takeoff, I'm going to do a full power takeoff, an MTOP takeoff, which is kind of rare, but we're very porky. And then we're going to fly this SID, which is basically just going to consist of flying runway heading, which, now that we're looking at it, we should set runway heading to 115. And we will turn and intercept a track to pull, and then from there we're going to hop on an airway, and we're not going to get off it for about 16.5 hours pretty much, but this is more or less what it looks like. We're going to go airway Tango 11 and then Golf 326, and we're going to take that, if the weather holds, all the way to Kevi, and then we're going to fly the Kevi 4 arrival, and I think we're going to come in on runway 19, which will consist of flying to the airport outbound and then flying an arc back. So that should be fun. And then we'll land on runway 19 to the south. And as you can see right now, the weather in Brisbane is lousy. Lousy. Which we like. Should be fun. Maybe we'll fly a HUD arrival, rusty as I am, but in the meantime, let us get rid of the ground power, start the APU. See, the fuel valve is open. And my apologies, when I reinstalled the plane I forgot to delete the music, but I'll get to that. Turn on our APU bleeds. And there we go. And by the way, ordinarily you'd wait a couple minutes before you turn on the bleed air, apparently because there's some fumes from the APU. So anyway, get rid of our external power, make it go bye-bye by hitting data and services, and cancel the GPU, and we'll get ready to push. Now let's see which way we need to go. We should go nose to the left. Alright, let's just get a quick look here. Yeah, we want to go nose left to Delta and then hook a right. And then back taxi along the runway. Actually, we'll go to Charlie. Alright, let's see if we remember how to do this. Let's do our before start checklist. Set our takeoff trim. It's going to be about there if I had to guess. Alright, door and fueling lights are out. Passenger signs on. Make sure our anti-skid is on. And you know what I didn't test is our lights. So let's just check our lights. So test our cautions. Bam, bam, boom. Okay. And okay, they're all good. Alright, great. Let's see what we got here. Alright, we got our APU running. Passenger signs are on. Kill our cautions here. Power levers are on disc. Gust lock is in. Just exercising my levers because sometimes FSU IPC. You see? Yep, we got a problem here. I've got double flappage going on, so what I'm going to do is go to FSUIPC, go to buttons and switches, profile specific, flap increase clear, flap decrease clear. I've already got it set in the sim, so if I set it in FSUIPC, it will do it twice. It'll do it once for the sim and once for good measure. And now that I'm at it, let me just check our trims, because that seems to be running a little fast too. Let me make sure I don't have that double down. Before I do that, let's go to our controls, settings, controls. Sorry to put you through this. Buttons and keys. Elevator trim I've got set on the sim, and I've probably got it also set in FSUIPC, so I'm also going to clear those. Alright, now we should have a normal trim speed. There we go. Alright, looks good. I'm not sure if that's the exact correct speed, but we'll take it. So now, what did we say? Pushback nose left, yes. Alright, so before start, cabin report is received, flight deck door is locked, anti-collision lights can go to red. Turn off the APU bleed. And we do have enough voltage, but I'm going to double check it. We need 26 to start off the battery, and we need, I think, 24. The APU is running, and we're good to go there. So what I'm going to do is call for push, select engine 2, nose left.
Ground, we are ready for pushback.
We are ready now, please release parking brake.
So we'll release the brake. We'll start 2.
Parking brakes released.
Crossing back now, you're clear to start the engine number 2.
And we are. Alright, now we'll monitor the push. Make sure we smack into nothing. My real problem is that we don't have a lot of space here, but I think we'll be fine.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of our airline, we would like to welcome you on board of our Dash 8 Q400.
Not very grammatical. On board of.
Please fasten your seatbelts and refrain
Oh well.
from smoking. If you want to use any electric
How many times have I violated the English language here? Alright, so we'll end the push here.
For takeoff and landing, these devices must be switched off, and the cellular phones may not be used during the entire
Pushback
flight.
complete,
We
leave
wish
parking
you
brake.
a pleasant stay on board.
Okay. Turn on our nose wheel steering.
Parking brake set. Can we get clearance at number 1?
The tow is free and clear of nose gear. Clear to start the engine number 1. Have a nice flight.
Thank you. Alright, so we'll start number 1. There we go. Take a good look. Looking fine.
May we have your attention to the international safety regulations. This aircraft has 6 emergency exits. 2 exits are located in the front.
Alright.
2 at the back. They are marked with the exit sign. Illuminated escape path markings on the floor.
Turn our bleeds to min and on.
Is equipped with the safety belts.
Untie our buses.
Keep the 2 ends together.
Turn off our APU.
To unfasten the seatbelt, lift the upper part of the buckle. Your life vest is located under
And our packs should be on auto. That's fine. Taxi lights can come on.
Pull the life vest over your head. Fasten the life vest by connecting the hooks to the ring.
Okay.
Pull the struts until the life vest is properly adjusted.
Turn on our
When
heats.
lifting the aircraft, pull the threads tight and the life vest will inflate. Thread tubes are located on both sides for flowing the additional air into the life vest.
Bim bam boom.
For more detailed information, please refer to the safety instruction card in a seat pocket in front of you. Thank you for your attention.
This is interesting. Our pitot heat lights are not going off. Ice detect fail. Pitot heat. Did I pop some breakers? They're all functional. I hope not. Well, let's bring the engines up to max RPM and see if that cures anything. There we go. Alright, well I told you it's been a while. We've set an acceleration altitude 1,500 feet above the field. Ah, what a noise that is. We'll turn on our transponder. Make sure our rudder trim is set with about 10 units of right. That's about right. Weather radar can come on, and our TCAS at the moment should be in auto. Alright, so do our taxi checklist, check our controls, turn these to flight for a minute so I can turn it to taxi a minute so I can check them. And that's not doing it because the gust lock is in. There we go. Alright. Good and good. Turn on our pumps and auxes. Now these are flows, not checklist items. I'm supposed to be doing them no matter what. Our nav source should be FMS1. Initially takeoff and heading select mode. Runway heading is set. V-speeds are set. Okay. Arc2 is on FMS. Looks good. Alright, after start, APU disconnect and off. Main bus tie off. Electrical panels checked. Condition levers max. Auto feather selected and white. Hydraulics checked, and we'll check our standby hydraulics too. Watch that come up. Kill the caution. Watch it come down. Okay, good. Nose wheel steering on. PFD, MFD, ED all checked. Yes, we're on pink needles. We're heading select. Be in toga mode. Alright, all good. We should have our yaw damper on, and we should have an altitude set. We'll be cruising at 250, and there are no restrictions on our SID, so we're going to go straight up to it. I'm used to the 737 now and seeing an altitude window here, and of course I'm used to not hitting outcell, but that plane has got its quirks too. Alright. Flaps set 10. Takeoff 10. Bleeds on and min. De-ice pressure checked. Ice protection not needed. Transponder squawking altitude and TCAS on. Alright, so let's just go. And hit the road here. I am a little bit rusty. And actually I should switch my weather switch in a second. We'll do that when we get into position. I want to switch that display off of weather and onto terrain, because we don't really have a weather problem here, but we've got a minor terrain problem. Nothing too drastic. Alright, we'll get clearance to back taxi. And we'll also just double check. Not the world's longest runway. So I'm guessing this is an early Orbx airport because the textures are not stunning, but that's just a guess. Everything else looks great. Alright. Flaps are set. I didn't cross-fill my FMC. We'll do it FMS. We'll do it while we're airborne. I had the steak, not the fish, so I don't expect to be losing it anytime soon, so I don't think our first officer is going to need to fill in, but you never know. It is a pleasure to be back in the dash, but it's going to be more of a pleasure when we actually take to the air. Relearn a lot of chops. Speaking of which, free plug, watch Flight Chops channel. He's a Canadian guy who is a real-world pilot, and he does great multi-camera videos with an instructor, and sound and briefings and debriefings of his flights. Try and use every inch of this runway here. Oh, it's nice to have the feel of this thing. Alright, so get ourselves set up here, set the parking brake. We're going to take a moment to collect ourselves and figure out what we're going to do. First thing I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to get the radar set up so that it is not, so my display isn't showing the radar, but is showing terrain. There we go. And I've got a caution. And what is the caution? That's my parking brake. And why are my DC gens not on? Because my DC gens are not on. That's why they're not on. Alright, we can turn off the taxi light, turn on the runway light, turn on our logo light, seat the people. Hey, how do you like that? Almost like I planned it myself. Alright, check that. Caution panel is clear except for the brake. So we're going to climb out in heading select mode. And we are going to do an M, as in Mike, top takeoff. But first, let's just do the before takeoff checklist. Alright, anti-collision lights are white, landing lights are on, pitot-static isolation valve is on, bleeds are on and min. AFCS mode is, let's see, 25 alt cell, heading select, runway heading, go round, pink needles, Yaw damper on. Alright, set and checked. Caution panel black before takeoff. Checklist complete. Alright. Can't believe I'm doing that, but why the hell not? You can switch these to flight, but it really doesn't matter because as soon as you advance the power, it pops them up to flight anyway. So, and you know what? Now that we're at it, let's just cross-fill everything here. See, it receives. It goes from here to here, so don't ever fill out this FMS and then cross-fill from this one because you'll pull the empty flight plan into it. Just remember, cross-fill sucks. That's how you remember not to get screwed. And let's just quickly check our legs, because I'll betcha... No, okay, we're set. Alright, we're fine. Alright, 2200 or above, and that's all going to be fine. So, we're going to set MTOP, and we're going to take note of the fact when we advance the power, sometimes it pops out again. So, we'll set it. See, now it says MTOP. See? See what it did? So we have to reset it. And you can see we're sort of accelerating like a pig here. And not a scalded one either. Looking for 80. We got it. Looking for 124. We'll barely get it. There we go. And pull ourselves right up to the climb bar. Trim ourselves out a little bit. Go into nav mode. Gear up. And we're above our acceleration altitude, so we'll bring our props back. Turn onto course. Ah, she flies so nicely. Alright, we're above V fry. We can start bringing in the flaps, and we're right at V climb right now. And I'm searching in vain for a speed knob, and then I'm realizing we do not have auto throttles. We are not a 737. We're only the Mighty Dash, and that's good enough for us. Just adjust our rudder trim a little bit. There we go. Alright, I'm going to nose down a little bit. We're heavy, so we're not going to climb unbelievably rapidly. But let's just bring the speed up and let our speed build up to, oh, close to 200 and climb at that if we can. If not, yeah, you know, let's do it right there. So go into IAS mode, put in the autopilot, square up our heading bug. Whoa, that's a little bit squirrely. Alright, come on upstairs, give us some normal bleeds, check to make sure we are pressurizing, and we are. Okay, do our after takeoff checklist. Altimeter, well, we're not at our transition altitude yet, so our altimeter is still local. Landing gear is up, flap 0, bleeds on, and normal climb power set. And looks good. We can turn off our auto feather and turn off our standbys and auxes. And just take 1 minute here to admire the beautiful... Oh no, I checked the gear pins. Why didn't the gear come up? No wonder we're climbing so slowly. Let me just toggle the switch here. I'm not doing this, but I'm toggling the switch on my fancy precision flight control thing. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle the gear because it's backwards on the switch. So now I hit the G key, let them come down. Now, nope, still doesn't want to go up. Alright. Alright, switch problem. No matter. Too beautiful. Alright, now. There we go. Not bad looking. I don't have all my views set up. My apologies. Still getting back to normal in this airplane. But not having any less fun for it. No, indeed. Alright, pressurization still fine. Cabin temperature's a little bit chilly. Make it at least bearable for the people. Alright, it is winter here. Alright, we're looking good, we're looking fat and happy, and we've basically got a long way to go with nothing to do. So, let me just set standard altimeter. And don't know why that's set 2993, but anyway. And I don't know why that's set 2991, but alright. Little quirks. Little things to get used to again. Turn on my demist and vent, because why not? Get a little fresher air in here. And I think I'll cut the video right here. There's no need for you to watch for the next 15 minutes while we climb up another 14,000 feet, because it's going to take about that long. So just cut the video and pick it up when we get close to Brisbane, and you can watch me make a great big honkin' mess out of my first arrival in several weeks in the Mighty Dash, because the Mighty Dash makes mere mortals of all of us. Some of us more mortal than others, especially when we haven't flown in a while. So there's that, and I'll just leave you with a look at the Outback here. Funny, not a steakhouse in sight. Praise Jeebus. Alright, see you in a few. And we are back. And it's a little bit loud out there. We are, I'd say 15 minutes from TOD, coming into Brisbane. Let's just brief our arrival. Already set our V-speeds. And we are going to be coming in this away on this arrival, the Kevy 4, and we're going to shoot in from Kevy down to Glen. No, you know what? We're going to go to Sync. Oh, look at this. Sync, plug, drain. Okay, that's fine. Coming in from Kevy to Sync, and you know what? I think I've got a badly set up arrival or approach, because then we're going to go on to this instrument approach, but we should really transition from Sync, not from from Brisbane, so we won't have to fly this arc, although it'll be fun. Let me just see what kind of arrival we've got set up here, because that would be unfortunate if we've got the wrong transition in and if we don't need it. So let's go to our... Oh boy, I'll tell you what, I am really really out of it when it comes to this airplane. It is modal, menu, arrival, there we go. Runway 19. The Kevy 4. The runway 19 transition. The ILS Z or Zulu. And you know what? Let's make it the sync transition so we don't have to fly all over hell and beyond. Because heavens to Murgatroyd, it's getting late around here. Get rid of that no link for Kevy. Get rid of this Kevy. Go direct to Kevy. Alright, 12. I'm getting the hang of it again. Alright, back to direct Kevy. Got to reset up our arrival to Kevy. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Good, okay. 12 minutes from TOD. Now let's review our arrival this time. Taking a look at our flight plan and popping ourselves into plan mode here so we can just get a good look. As we zoom in, stumbling and bumbling. Okay, we've got a no link there. Get rid of that. There we go. Okay. So that's the end of our arrival. This is our intermediate fix. And in we go. That should all be fine. Just quickly acknowledge our no links. Otherwise we can't see any information here. I don't know why that's the case, but we can't. Now when we scroll through it, we can. Alright, so at sync above 2500, and that is our approach sandwich, fix sandwich. Alright, we will see how we get on, as the great Rich at Flight Sim 481 says. And our missed approach is, I believe, just climb on runway heading to 3,800 feet, wait for vectors, wait for further instructions, in which case we will vector ourselves back. The weather in Brisbane is about a 3,000 foot broken ceiling and winds of, I think, about 7 or 8 knots. Let's take a look. 8 knots at 150, so we'll have a little bit of wind off our left-hand side. Nothing too terrible. I've already programmed up the HUD just in case we want to use it, and I am set up for full HUD Cat 3 arrival. Of course, this approach is only Cat 1, so we are setting an MDA, not a decision height. As a matter of fact, I should get rid of that decision height right now so it doesn't confuse us. And our V-speeds are set. Let me just do our descent checklist. Pressurization set. Should be about 20 feet. Oh wait, I forgot we're not in the 737, so I will set it at 500 feet. and GPWS flaps, set 15, briefing speeds, MDA, MSA, all checked at set. Our MSA is going to be practically sea level because we're basically heading out over the ocean for our arrival. And there's no significant terrain any place where we are. Significantly, we've got a at or below restriction for Kevi, and I suspect it's because of departing traffic or something along those lines, or the approach for the shorter runway for this runway. Not sure. But as you can see, direction we're coming in, the MSA is going to be 3,800 feet. Actually, radial of, let's see, 196 is 276. Yes, okay, yeah, so it's 3,800 feet. Alright, so that's all briefed up. So, in essence, what we're going to do is when we get within VNAV range, as you know by now, a sort of vertical path deviation indicator is going to light up here in magenta. When it does, we can get ourselves into VNAV mode here. I've set our first constraint altitude. It should be 5,000. I can set that, I suppose, without alt-cell because I wanted to continue us through on the VNAV path. We've got our Brisbane altimeter in standby here, and we've got a VAP and a VREF set. Going to be flaps 15. We're going to be doing it at 850 with a reduced noise profile landing, so that means we push this button and then slide the levers forward, but the props will actually stay at 850 unless we hit the go-around button, in which case we'll immediately get props full, which is great. So we get the benefits of a little bit quieter arrival and still instantaneous climb power when we need it. Now what we will get also is quite a bit less drag than if the props were at 1020. So it's a little bit harder to slow, but I kind of like it because, especially now that I'm going back and forth between this and the 737, this and flaps 15 gets you a more jet airliner profile. But I have to remember, because this is the Mighty Dash, that when we get our 20 call out between our 20 and our 10, actually we should just scooch up the throttle a little bit and then scooch it back down to our approach power. So in other words, we are not going to do like we would do in a jet, and that is at about our 20-ish call outs start to roll off the power, if not a little bit sooner. So we're going to have to come down 20,000 feet in about 100 miles. So we can do that. Let's see where our TOD is. We're 6 minutes away. And I'm recording this at about 4 in the morning, which actually is not as bad as it sounds because I work into the evening. So my normal going to work time, if I weren't on a brief vacation, would be at about 2 in the afternoon, and I normally get off work about 10. So I just treat it like a 9 to 5, and I move the whole thing you know, 5 hours forward. So, you know, if I get off work at 10, at 11, it's like 6 o'clock, I eat dinner, and then another 5 hours before bed. So, you know, usually 4 o'clock's my bedtime. Sleep till noon. It's not bad. Anyway, these clouds are ex-soft clouds, and this is active sky next, and it seems to be doing a bang-up job. We're getting close to TOD. And I never know quite what the criteria are for making VNav available. I don't know whether it's in minutes or miles. If I had to guess, I'd say it's 20 miles, but maybe it's 2 minutes. We'll find out soon enough. Or maybe it's a coincidentally both. Let's see, 20... Nope. Perhaps it's 2 minutes. Perhaps it's broken. There we go. See? That lights up, so we can hit VNav. That displays, but we're still in altitude hold mode until we get to that top of descent. And I have to remember, unlike ye old 737, I have to manage power. So the way we're going to manage power is we're going to do it the way the IXEG 737, in my opinion, should do it, is either set the power so that we barber pole it, that's one way to do it, and the other way to do it is to do it full idle and then come down in IAS mode, but we're not going to do that. So we're going to choose the go as fast as we possibly can mode, which means we're going to change our power settings not very much. In a jet, we would roll off the power and try to descend on idle power the whole time, but because these big props create so much drag, there's not much sense in that. In a turboprop, you would fall out of the sky. Alright, so now we're just looking for that bar to start coming in. Let's go to our perf page here. We've got plenty of fuel. We've got enough to divert to many, many other airports up and down the coast and the Gold Coast. Says we'll be on the ground in 18 minutes. I presume that means on the ground at the airport. We could put it on the ground a lot sooner, though. One never knows. Alright, let me just make sure I have no sneaky little no-links here. Alright, we're good. I've already tuned in our ILS, just make sure it's 110.1, and it is, and 196, which we have set on the right, and set on the left, checked. And as you can see, we're getting a little bit of nastiness. We'll have to look out for icing. Okay, so down we go. And we'll start just walking the power out a little bit. What I'm looking for is basically, this is a maximum performance descent. We have to retrim the rudder, which you always do in the dash after you make any power change, because the engines are powerful and the propellers are big and the prop wash is huge. So it's going to have enormous effects on the yawing of the airplane, whereas in the 737 those are big powerful engines that are sitting very low, and those have an enormous pitch impact. So when in the 737 you make power changes, you are often making drastic pitch changes as well, or trim changes actually, to counter those pitch changes, or that pitching moment. Alright, down we go. Can monitor our descent here. Look at our progress, see how far off. We do have a deviation display here, and it almost is always dead on, which is quite impressive. This won't do VNAV for climbs, but it does it for descent remarkably well. Although, like all of them, it has to be monitored, and it sometimes loses its way. It sometimes gets confused if your turn is a little bit wide of a waypoint, for example, or the wind is a little bit unusual, or things like that. Sometimes the VNAV will disconnect, and you have to watch it. It'll put you in a default pitch mode, and you just have to keep your eyes open for that. It doesn't warn you when it pops out. It just goes away. That rudder trim sorted out. I will say it is a little bit late in the day for me, so unfortunately we are possibly going to succumb to get-home-itis. And I hope that doesn't make for an unsafe situation. In reality, when that happens, and you're tempted to ooh. Three 3033. Okay, that matches what we've got. So that's one item down. And again, I'm using I am using checklists today because I am so rusty in the Mighty Dash. I'm just going over what we need. Not a lot. It's you know, it's an odd plane, but it's a pretty straightforward plane to fly. You've got FADEX, so you don't have to worry about roasting the engines. You've just got condition levers and which is a combined prop and condition lever, and power levers. You don't have also condition levers, prop pitch, and power, so that's nice. You don't have odd things like auto fine and auto sync and all kinds of wonky propeller management machinations. And all things considered, it's pretty straightforward. And it's actually a pretty sparsely laid out panel, you know, compared to some other turboprops, there's actually a whole lot less to manage on this than most. And as for the knock on it, that it's difficult to land, well, if you don't get too slow and you use the right power and you don't chop the throttles at the end, it can be, and we're going to turn on some ice protection, it can be a real sweetheart. However, I make no promises for today because I am deeply, deeply, deeply out of practice. Alright, so we've got 31 to Kevy and we've got to get down another 9,000 feet, and that puts us squarely in the ballpark. Let's see what our outside air temperature is, 14, but we're picking up ice, it says, and we are. And also, as we get lower and the air gets a little thicker, we're picking up, our red line is creeping lower. So, just rolling off the power a little bit, but trying to keep it as fast as possible. And I'm not getting any intermediate altimeter readings here, but because we're at 2992 and Brisbane's is 3033, I'm not going to set that yet, even if we get below the transition altitude, for a simple reason. When I'm over that kind of terrain, I don't want to accidentally think I'm higher than I should. So if I switch over to local altimeter a little bit late, that's why, because I don't really know the terrain and I don't know my way around, and I don't want to smack into anything. Well, I'd smack into a nice dry martini, but that's entirely different. I'll slip out of these wet clothes into a dry martini. What was it Dorothy Parker said? I like martinis, but 2 at the most. 3, I'm under the table. 4, I'm under the host. Not a bad line. I wish I'd written it, and one day I might. Alright, just keeping our engines nicely synced up so we're not fighting it with rudder trim. And as you can see, we're just sort of making our way in as fast as we can. We're going to ask for, and we're going to get permission to exceed 250 below 10K, because damn it, we've got get home-itis, or get somewhere-itis, I suppose. I could think of many, many worse places than Australia's Gold Coast, I'll tell you that much. That's just us going too fast. There we go. So we're basically at flight idle right now. And notice how quickly the speed's coming back off. So I'm just going to scooch the power up again. Don't make me tell you again about the scooching. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine if the pilot came on the intercom and what you heard as you were sitting in the back was the voice of Christopher Walken? Clouds don't scare me. Wake turbulence. Sounds. Anyway, enough of that. Get our passengers seated. Do our descent checklist. Alright, that's completed. Take care of some stuffs early. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Already set our ILS, set up our HUD, set up our AFCS. Alright, we'll set local altimeter now. It's an improbably high 3033. And that puts us, let's try that again. That puts us way above the profile.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just started our approach. We would kindly ask
All
you
right.
to keep those again and turn off all your
Approach checklist. Altimeter set. Fuel transfer off. Fuel pumps on. Standby hydraulics. PTU on. Hydraulics checked. Passenger signs on. Caution panel is black. Cabin is secured. Approach checklist complete. And look at that undercast. So here we come. We're coming up on Kevy. Basically, we're going to fly this way. We're going to fly a little around to the right, to the north of the city, and then I meant to the left, and then we're going to hook a right and come in at sync. Oh, I hope not. Alright, so that's 1,000 away. And we can arm our approach. And we don't even have the offer to tune it because we already have tuned it, and that's also confirmation that we've tuned the right thing. Alright, leveled off a little bit here, as it should be. That's a fairly comfortable speed to come in. Square up our heading bug. Because remember, we're going to switch to blue needles. See if we can see our localizer. No, not yet. Also, there's a warning that beyond 9 miles DME, or 9.5 miles, this localizer is susceptible to false captures and echoes and all sorts of other nasty crap. Alright, I'm going to set our altitude at sync, 2,500 or above, and I will set a floor on that. Count on the VNAV to get us to that point, but then we'll take it from there. And we're kind of powering in here a little bit because we're in a hurry. We shouldn't be in a hurry, but I guess we are. We're also not quite at 5,000. We're slightly above it, and we shouldn't be. Alright, so from sync, in we go. Scalloping and possible false capture. Observed beyond 9. Nice. Okay, well, see what happens. And this is, of course, lovely Orbx Australia. This is, I think, their original full-terrain scenery. Let's see how far we have to go. Okay, 7, 12, 17, 20. Okay, we're about 30 miles out. Got our lights on. Got our ice protection on. Not sure if we still need it. Let's see what the temperature's like. No, we don't. Okay, we can turn it off. Good. We are out of danger. And let's see. Get a nice view of Brisbane here. And the environs. And really nice clouds. Okay, we're level at 5. We're at 220. We could even go faster, but we won't. Oh, we'll go a little faster, because why not? Because ATC said, come on, get a move on, guys. We want to go home. So we're going to cook our way in here. Boy, it really, look at that. That looks great. That is pretty damn good. Okay, so we got drain and plug and then sink. At plug, we'll start to roll off the power. And bring in flaps 5. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at that. That's some pretty fine looking scenery. And some pretty good looking weather. Slightly different looking world than X-Plane. And you get a lot of auto-gen popping in and out with any luck. Even though the existing version of X-Plane doesn't do it very much, it will be nice to see if... I'm going to start to slow now. It'll be nice to see if the new version of X-Plane has even faster auto-gen. It's supposed to have a revamped auto-gen engine, but a lot of that has to do with interpreting height and creating plausible skyscrapers and so on. Alright, so we'll come down to about 200 knots. There's no sense in going bonkers here. Our approach power setting is going to be approximately 17 to 20. At the moment, I'm just going to set up our reduced noise profile landing. If you ever hit this button and move the levers and it doesn't work, it's because your power levers are above 50, and it just won't do it if they're above 50, and it'll actually cut out once they go above 50. Okay, bring our bleeds. There we go. We will also there we go. And in comes flaps 5. We will go into heading mode right about now. And go into IAS mode. No, we'll come to vertical speed mode. We're going down about 800 feet per minute. Okay. Switch our nav source to blue needles, and I don't like it. We are above the glide slope, so let's just adjust our vertical speed down a little bit. Come off the power. Not that much. Get into nav mode. There we go. Okay, we've got the localizer. And here comes the glide slope, but we're not going to try to capture it until we're below it. Okay, just screwed that up. Nav 1, nav, there we go. Did that in mid-capture. Okay, just going to start to ease up on our descent. I love it when a plan comes together. Set runway heading, or try to. Okay, get us into approach mode, and look at that. Okay, gear down. That's just it barking at us because the gear isn't fully down yet. By the way, fixed our gear problem. It was set up in FSUI PC and in
2500
and in the sim simultaneously. Okay, well, we have our runway. It's going to slow us down. And by rights, we could just fly this ourselves. And as soon as we get established, I think we will. Got more of a crosswind than I expected. And I'm going slower than I should. Not good. There we go. Get our speed up a little bit. There we are. Settling on nicely. Okay, my airplane. A little bit fast, which is why my why I'm pushing down a little bit on the elevator, on the stick. What am I talking about? It's very late. Okay, roll in a little bit more power. Just seeing how well the scenery and the nav aid line up. And yeah, we are experiencing significant crosswind. That's about right. Alright, I'm just going to get rid of all this crap here. Oh, this is one of those weird Aussie pappy things. A little gusty too.
500
I'm going by runway picture here because, oh, okay, now that means I think 2 lights, you're good. That means you're high. I don't know. Yeah, it does mean you're high. Okay. Okay, now I have to remember not to
100
roll off the power.
50 40 30 20 10
There we go. A little bit of a float. A lot of a float. There we are. And 2 in beta. And we'll just roll past the convenient turnoff, of course. And we'll take the next one. All right, well, welcome to Brisbane, where the lights seem to be floating above the runway like magic.
To our final destination. Please remain seated with the seatbelts securely fastened until the aircraft has reached its parking position and the
Okay, we'll
Please continue to observe the nods on the sun. On behalf of our airline, I'd like to say goodbye to you. It was a pleasure having you as our guest. And
come back this way.
one of our aircraft. Thank you.
And I think, having knocked a little bit of the rust off of me from my time away from the Mighty Dash, first of all, it's great being back. Second of all, where are we going to go next? Well, we're going to go north. We're going to go to Cairns, if I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not. And from there, we're probably going to head through Indonesia, maybe, and then go north up Japan, and probably towards the Aleutian Islands, and come back in to the United States via Alaska. At any rate, it's a pleasure having you on board, as always. And what a beautiful, looks like a beautiful evening here. Look at that. My goodness. Okay. Well, I'm glad we came, because this place looks great. I could definitely live here. Wow. That's before we do anything else. Let's just turn off our approach lights so we don't scald anybody's eyeballs. And well, you know what? I'm gonna leave it right there. I think we've done enough for the day, and as the sun sets gently on the Australian coast, thanks again for watching, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.